It's baffled scholars for 2 millennia. It is a puzzle made of multi-dimensional elements, an enigma with roots that reach back to the dawning of time, perhaps before. Daniel explained part of it. Ezekiel and Isaiah had glimpses into it. John saw it all for the time of the end. That time is now. Join Derek and Sharon Gilbert on a journey that spans the course of history, from Eden to Mount Hermon, from Hermon to Babel, from Babel to Rome, from Rome to the cross, and from there to us. Biblical prophecy is coming true before your eyes, and to understand it, you must discern the times both then and now. It's time to unravel the threads of this all-encompassing prophetic paradox. It's time to unravel Revelation. Welcome to Unraveling Revelation. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert, and we are delighted to be here. You know what? This is a big deal for us.
Yeah.
You're thinking another Unraveling Revelation, but this is our first Unraveling Revelation under our own production company. We've been talking to Tom and Joe for a while about sort of Derek and I expanding Gilbert House Ministries into a production company because we produce a lot of content anyway.
We do.
And Tom Horn is one of those amazing people who doesn't want to hang on to every bit of talent. He, from the very beginning, has said, you guys have a ministry. You need to keep developing your ministry while you're here.
You know, he told us that in 2006, and I thought he was crazy.
I know. In 2006, he said we had a church. We had a church body because of Gilbert House Fellowship. And that we were pastors. We just said, no, we're not. But in the meantime, the Lord has taught us many, 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 many things. So we are delighted that GHTV, which is our Gilbert House Television production company, is now sort of taking over a number of our projects. Derek is still with Skywatch TV. I still work with Skywatch TV. All of that partnership is still there. But Tom has said, time to fly, kids, on your Gilbert House.
So this will be the way it is going forward, and we've got some other announcements regarding this in the weeks and months ahead as we launch some new ways to access the content.
Yeah.
But we are very grateful to the team at Morningside and PTL Network for continuing to carry the program, and so you'll be able to see this nationwide on the PTL network, but also at the website, unravelingrevelation.tv.
That's so exciting.
Through, we'll be announcing a mobile app and Roku and Apple TV and all that other stuff here in the weeks ahead. But,
all of it is at gilberthouse.org. Everything we do is right there at gilberthouse.org. That includes our Sunday podcast where we do Bible study. It includes Unraveling Revelation. And it now includes Sci Friday.
Yes, Sci Friday is back, and we're very excited about that because that's a program that was, we love doing it every week because we are such science nerds, but we want to apply that same diligence and same excitement that we feel to the field of Bible study and also end times prophecy.
And archaeology. We are such nerds on that too. So if you watch the Sci Friday that we just recorded here, it will start playing on the 29th of April, I think. That one includes part one of an interview with Dr. Scott Stripling about that lead tablet that was just discovered on Mount Ebal. Yes,
the cursed tablet on Mount Ebal, which is a connection to Joshua chapter 8 and the renewal of the covenant by the tribes of Israel, where half were on Mount Ebal, the site of Joshua's altar. That was the mountain of the curse, and the mountain of blessing, Mount Gerizim, which, interestingly enough, is located east of Mount Ebal because Joshua's altar is on the east slope, and that means that the current Mount Gerizim, which is the location of the modern Samaritan community, is south of there, and they're on a different mountain.
You know, to me, that means the Lord was preserving Mount Gerizim for his reasons, because it hasn't been excavated.
No, but Dr. Stripling did tell us that those excavations are now just beginning. Haifa University in Israel, an archaeologist there, is picking up and continuing the survey of Samaria that was begun by Dr. Adam Zertal years ago. He passed away in 2015, but the surveys of Samaria that have been done at this point began at Mount Kavir and went north, and another came up to Mount Kavir, but Mount Kavir, which is the site of the Oak of Moreh, where God visited Abraham and said, see this land before you? This will all belong to your descendants someday. It's where Jacob buried the teraphim from his father-in-law Laban.
Yes. Now, when you say Mount Kavir,
yes,
you're talking about a mountain near Mount Gerizim,
yes,
or the same as?
This is the same as.
It's a different name for it.
Yes, yes. And we plan to visit that mountain on our tour of Israel next March.
Yes.
Yeah, so we will visit the site of Joshua's altar on Mount Ebal, but we will also visit the site of the Oak of Moreh.
That's a big deal.
And explain why that location is so significant.
That is a big deal, and you'll get to be the first tour group that we know of that's gone there, so at least with us. So plan on going next year. We're going to tell you more about it later.
I think Rabbi Jonathan Kahn's been there, but Aaron
Lipkin
took him. Yeah, Aaron Lipkin took him.
Well, that's okay. He went with Aaron, so that's all right with us.
He's a friend of ours. So,
he is a very good. Well, both of them are very good friends, Aaron and Jonathan. We are going to talk today about Gog Magog, and that actually connects, strangely enough, to this tablet.
Yes, it does.
And I don't know if you're going to say it is for the same reason that I am. So you give your reason first.
Let me jump in here, because last week we had talked about Gog, Magog, and the double cross by Gog of Magog, that we think that there will be a false Gog-Magog conflict that will convince especially religious Jews that war has been won and that their Messiah has arrived. Sadly, this will be the wrong Messiah. This will be the false Christ, which is an English translation of Antichrist.
Exactly, because he has to arrive at the end of Armageddon.
Yes.
This will be the false Armageddon.
Right. But now Jews wouldn't call it Armageddon.
They would call it the Gog-Magog War.
Right.
But you believe, and I agree with you, that the real Gog-Magog War is Armageddon.
Correct.
So this is the fake Gog-Magog / Armageddon War.
Now, the scenario that we had kind of talked about last week, and we really didn't have time to develop it, so this is why we want to touch on this week and then connect this to some other things that are in the news right now. I think the scenario, and this is spelled out in my book, Bad Moon Rising, which is a look at the spiritual forces behind Islam.
Oh, we don't have a copy of that here, do we?
Yeah, well, I'll put it up on the screen.
You can get a copy of that from our store, by the way. We'll tell you more about that later, too.
The war, I think, will look like what our friend Bill Salas has described in his book, The Psalm 83 War.
Yes.
Which would involve the nearby neighbors of Israel. And in Psalm 83, there are a number of nations mentioned: Edom, the Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagrites, named for Hagar, Abraham's servant, Gibal, a city in ancient Phoenicia, Ammon, Amalek, Philistia, Tyre, and Asher, which is Assyria. So what you get when you look at that in terms of the modern nations, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the Palestinians of the West Bank, Egypt, Hezbollah and Lebanon, the Bedouins, the Arabs in the Sinai Peninsula, and so on, Syria and Iraq, perhaps, if you include Assyria as that region currently occupied by the Kurds.
Right.
What this would be, if Bill is correct, and I think this is a plausible scenario, is that you get a war involving Israel's nearby Muslim neighbors. And if that were to happen, for example, and again, this is hypothetical, this is not spelled out explicitly in Scripture, but remember, God didn't reveal his prophecies of Messiah's first coming explicitly either. Even the disciples, yes, the disciples didn't even understand it. Acts chapter 1, they were still asking if he was going to restore the kingdom to Israel after the resurrection.
They didn't understand it was a two-part.
Yes, it wasn't until after the Pentecost. So you get a surprise attack against Israel. You'd see this in Psalm 83, verses 1 through 8, Daniel 11, verse 40. And I go into this in detail in the book Bad Moon Rising. It's really convoluted. We could do entire shows on this.
It's such a good book. And
I'm going to do a teaching on this for video, I think.
You should.
Because it's something we can't really get into a 30-minute program.
Can we make a DVD of that?
I think we can, yes. Anyway, a dynamic military leader or political leader or a military political leader rises up to lead Israel to victory over this coalition of nearby neighbors. This would be Daniel 11, verses 40 through 43. This leader comes into the glorious land victorious, the glorious land, a reference to Israel. He pitches his tent between the sea and the holy city. That'd be Daniel 11, 41. News from the east and the north provokes the next phase of this war, which I believe is led by the figure that Jews would see as their Messiah, but again, he would be the false Messiah or the Antichrist.
possibly strikes against Muslim nations farther away, like Turkey, Iran, and or Pakistan. This would be Daniel 11:44. Jordan is spared, that's Daniel 11:41, but Israel's territory may be expanded, Obadiah 1, verse 9, which would include all of the territory promised in Genesis 15.
Obadiah is one of those books that we all forget about.
We just skip right over it, yes. But what will happen is the Antichrist will fall with none to save him, and that's at the end of Daniel chapter 11. But that tracks with Revelation 13, where the beast has the mortal head wound in one of the heads, but then is miraculously healed.
Yes.
Sadly, this also dovetails with Jewish eschatology that believes that they've got two messiahs, Messiah ben Joseph, who leads the country in the war of Gog, Magog, and he falls in that battle and then is either resurrected by or resurrects into Messiah ben David,
Yes.
who then completes the war and then judges the nations and then casts the nations and their angels into the fiery pit.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is what we would see as the false Gog-Magog conflict. And I believe that the role that Islam plays in the end times, and really, if any eschatological system, any view of the end times doesn't include the 1.7 billion Muslims on planet Earth, it's not really accounting for all factors. I think Islam's only role in the end times is to be cannon fodder. As far as the enemy is concerned, the fallen angels who lead this rebellion, headed up by Satan, who is the king of this world, the god of this world, they will be used to kick off this war. They will be destroyed. But as far as the fallen realm is concerned, they've already got them. They want to destroy God's people and take control of his Mount of Assembly, which is the Temple Mount Zion in Jerusalem.
This is tragic. If you're watching this and you're thinking, well, wonderful, we need to end Islam. These are human beings. They're families. Most Muslims are peaceful. They truly are, most Muslims. And if somehow a spirit goes within them and gets young people, young men and women, excited, and they want to be part of a new army that's going to take over the world and fulfill the dreams of the Quran, I think this is so incredibly tragic that the fallen realm hates mankind so much that he's willing to sacrifice millions of families, children.
Yes, yes.
Children, because these soldiers, they're children.
In many cases, you are correct.
Yes.
You're right. That is how much they hate God's children. This is a war between the children of Adam, created by God's own hand, and their demonic children, the spirits of the hybrid giants destroyed in the flood.
That are the demons.
Exactly, the demons that afflict the world to this day. And that's really what this war is all about. Who is standing at the last trump? Who will be raised up? Who will be resurrected or revivified? In the book, Bad Moon Rising, I take a chapter and explain why I sort of agree with our friend Joel Richardson. He believes that Mystery Babylon is Islam. He also believes the Antichrist will be a Muslim. I think that's a little too obvious. I think the enemy is more devious than that. I think Mystery Babylon is Islam, that religious system. But I believe that the false Messiah will present himself to the world as a Jew. Now, I know that's a dangerous...
I think he will present himself to the world as I fulfill all of your wishes and dreams.
Yes, yes.
Jew, Hindu, whatever you're expecting, whatever Messiah you're expecting, I'm that.
Yeah, and I know that's not a popular sentiment, and I don't say this with any joy. Trust me, I mean, we love the land of Israel and the people of Israel, and we do not want this to lead any astray, but this is a deception that is so insidious, as Jesus said, it will deceive even the elect if it were possible. This is not a new teaching. Even Irenaeus, who was 2 generations removed from John, he was a student of Hippolytus, or rather a student of Polycarp, who was a student of John. And Irenaeus believed that the Antichrist would come from the tribe of Dan.
Yes.
Now, it's speculative. We don't know. We believe the spirit of Antichrist, as we've said in previous programs, is the spirit of chaos, known in the Bible as Leviathan. There will be a human indwelt by that spirit. And again, I think you're right. He will present himself to the world because he'll have to be welcomed by all people.
By all people and all religions.
Ultimately, at the end of the 7-year period called the Great Tribulation, he leads the whole world to war against Jerusalem, and that is the actual war of Gog of Magog.
That is so true. Well, after the break, I'm going to tell you why I think that the discovery of the lead tablet by Dr. Scott Stripling actually connects to Gog Magog.
Ooh.
Hi, everybody. Believe it or not, this is October, and that means you get a brand new GHTV special offer.
We're approaching Halloween, the time of year when the world around us is focused on ghosts and goblins and devils and demons.
But they're real.
They're real, and we'd like to give you good information about those entities with our October special. First, our book Veneration, where we analyze the ancient cult of the Nephilim, the origin of demons exposed in this book. Vicki Joy Anderson's important book, They Only Come Out at Night, about night terrors and sleep paralysis.
You need this book at home for your kids and grandkids. Trust me, it is a great book.
And 7 hours of audio interviews with the late Dr. Michael Heiser about the nature of the unseen realm.
Oh, this is a collector's disc.
It really is. Altogether, these 3 items purchased separately, worth $65 during the month of October, just $35 plus shipping and handling. Take advantage of this because this is good, solid, scholarly information, especially the content from Dr. Heiser.
It is, and particularly this month, you want to be armed with the truth when your family asks, what about witches? What about wizards? What about these things at Halloween? What do we do with this? It's a time to teach.
Absolutely. Take advantage of our October special offer. Veneration, They Only Come Out at Night, and The Unseen Adversary, yours for just $35 plus shipping and handling only at gilberthouse.org/store. Welcome back to Unraveling Revelation. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert, and we've talked about the discovery in Israel on Mount Ebal, and you can go there with us. Just go to skywatchinisrael.com, skywatchinisrael.com. Our itinerary, all of the details about the cost, everything is right there. You can even register to go. Well, you'll notice there are a lot of DVDs on the desk. It's because we now have a Gilbert House sort of virtual book table. And if you go to gilberthouse.org, gilberthouse.org, you will, and QR code right here on the screen. Derek is so clever to put it up there. Just click on that with your phone and it'll take you right to that site, and you can start, if you so choose, you can buy products from us, or you can get all this stuff at Skywatch TV Store. So it's one or the other. If you buy it through us, then it helps support our ministry. If you buy it through Skywatch, you support that ministry.
And we support them 100%. So
absolutely. We love those ponies. The reason I think that the lead tablet discovery is connected to Gog Magog. You and I think all of you will agree that we are in the last moments of time as we know it, the world as we understand it, Teotowaki, as they call it,
Yes.
the end of the world as we know it, that the Lord promised several of his prophets, when he was revealing information to them, he said, now seal it up. Seal it up, because that's for the time of the end. And many of the things that were sealed, including the 7 thunders, I believe are part of end time revelations. That the Lord is letting the rocks cry out. And archaeologists are discovering things like this lead curse tablet that prove that Israel was in the land. Well, the fallen realm realize that the Lord is unveiling his truth. So they've got to ramp up things and get their army going. So I think because most prophecy scholars think Rosh of the uttermost north is Russia, the fallen realm is using Russia, pulling them over to Ukraine, and using a spiritualist advisor named Aleksandr Dugin, who's whispering into Vladimir Putin's ear and telling him, you need to control the entire world island from Vladivostok on the Pacific Ocean to Ireland on the Atlantic.
This is a really interesting development that I don't think anybody expected. And we in the West, we're not very good at understanding the supernatural or spiritual forces or influences on other people.
We're really lousy at it.
I remember the CENTCOM, U.S. CENTCOM, actually called a meeting of university professors in the fields of marketing and social media to try to figure out how the Islamic State's branding was helping them recruit. It's like, wait a minute, it's not the branding, it's their religion.
Yes, exactly. You're totally missing the spiritual aspect.
Yes, it's not social media, it's the spirits behind Islam that are drawing them in. So when this fellow Dugin began writing, I mean, they call this fellow the Putins Rasputin. Putin's Rasputin.
If you are not familiar with Gregory or Grigori Rasputin, you need to look him up. Rasputin. And it's funny that the last part of his name is Putin.
Yeah, it is. Dugin wrote a book about 25 years ago called Foundations of Geopolitics, which has been required reading for many Russian soldiers, but it's been very influential. This is a worldview called Neo-Eurasianism, which teaches that Russia, as the world's dominant land power, it has more land than any other nation on planet Earth, should control the world. They control the world island, which is Europe and Asia together. You control the world. But it's more than that. It's a spiritual quest based on this belief that Russians are the descendants of the ancient Hyperboreans, which gets back to Greek religion 2,000 years ago.
Yes, it gets into Blavatskyism and Crowleyism. It goes back to some of the stuff you have written about in The Day the Earth Stands Still.
Yes, this idea that these sunken continents and lost civilizations are still at work in the world today. Atlantis, of course, was written about by Homer, but 2,600 years ago, the Atlanteans do not exist on Earth today. But yet Dugin believes that the descendants of Atlantis, which would be us here in the United States, are evil, and the Hyperboreans, the Russians, need to oppose us. So this is a spiritual war in his mind.
Absolutely. In the last few weeks, we have seen a number of things happen. The Ukraine invasion happened on February 24th. And shortly after that, we got information about Dugin starting to come out. We have information about the lead tablet coming out, a number of spiritual things. And now we've got the Sun newspapers that get 1,500 pages of UFO information from the Defense Department here in the United States.
Claiming that there are certain physiological effects that suffered by people.
Pregnancies.
Right, people who've encountered UFOs. Unaccounted for pregnancy.
As it was in the days of Noah.
Right. Now, we're not saying that these are extraterrestrials who are visiting and cohabiting with humans.
No.
But
these are lying angels.
Lying angels. They are inhuman visitors, and they've been visiting the Earth for a long, long time. Or perhaps human agents. We don't know.
Well, I'd say it's at least one and probably both.
Right. Well, Josh Peck's documentary, The Great Delusion, dives into all of that. And you can find that online at skywatchfilms.com. If you want to watch that documentary, you can stream it, instant access. But that delves into the topic, the UFO topic, in a unique way, a way that you won't see the ancient aliens guys do. So let's put it that way. But this is really intriguing that all of these things are coming together now that we've had just within the last...
We've also had the revelation of Sodom location.
Yes.
And many scientific proofs that it is indeed Sodom.
Right.
As it was in the days of Lot.
Yes, in the days of Noah and in the days of Lot. Yeah.
Boy,
these are exciting times. No. And you think back to 2012 and all of the hoopla around the Mayan apocalypse, which, the world did not end on December 21st of 2012.
No,
but it seems that things have been moving faster and faster.
Happened.
Yeah.
I think something happened. By the way, I don't know if you are aware of this, viewer. Thank you for watching, by the way. 2024, April 8th, is going to be a full solar eclipse. Seen from the United States. Best seen around South Texas, northern Mexico area. But it forms an X with the last.
The path of the 2017 eclipse, yes. And the spot where the X meets is a spot very near Carbondale, Illinois, not far from St. Louis. 7 years apart, and the X marks the spot in southwest Illinois.
That's bizarre. I've seen some
Yeah.
people saying that the X is actually over New Madrid Fault. Not quite.
Not quite, no. It's a little north of there, but
Yeah.
close enough to make you
Think twice, yeah.
It is interesting. Now, again, we don't look at signs like this and say, well, this shows us that God is going to do something. We don't set dates.
No, but the fallen realm was up to something.
And things are moving more and more quickly. We just look at the way our society has flipped on its head, where you've got not to get political, but when you've got a Supreme Court justice, an educated, highly intelligent person who cannot define what a woman is.
She's not the only one.
I know.
You know, look,
That's
she's
the
just
standard in
saying-
academia today.
Yes, exactly. She's just speaking academies.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of professors go along with that idea. In fact, just today, I showed you this story, and you're probably going to talk about it on your 5 and 10, so this may be old news to you as you're watching. The fact that there is a prisoner who killed another gentleman. This prisoner wanted to transition to becoming a female in the life sentence over in the UK, and now wants to be seen as and recognized and treated as a baby. Got a little pacifier.
So it's no longer, well, yeah, we've seen
Now
other
a
stories
female
like that.
baby.
Yeah, we've seen other stories like that.
But here's the thing, the prison's allowing it. They are allowing it.
Yeah.
So you can say anything and be anything, and the world is saying, no, you have the right to do that.
Yeah. Well, this is just more evidence, we think, of the influence of chaos, which again is the spirit of Antichrist. I mean, Christ holds all things together in him. So what would be the opposite of order, disorder, chaos, Antichrist?
Exactly.
And we're seeing it all across the world. And this comes back to Aleksandr Dugin. The symbol on the cover of his book, Foundations of Geopolitics, is the eight-pointed, eight-arrowed symbol of chaos magic, which is an outgrowth of the occult system developed by Aleister Crowley.
That is not a
No,
coincidence.
it is not. That's what the enemy wants, a return to primordial chaos. They want to destroy what God created and called good. And we think that the Antichrist embodies that spirit. He will embody that spirit. But one of the reasons we take such comfort in the apocalyptic prophecies of the Bible is that despite all of the scary imagery contained in the Bible, which is why many pastors don't teach on it, the ending shows that God has already won the victory. It is secured. He has guaranteed this for us through the prophecies that have already been fulfilled. And we talked about many of them here. Daniel's prophecy of the arrival of Messiah in Jerusalem to the day. Jesus prophesying his resurrection and making it happen. Those prophecies are true. They guarantee that the prophecies of the ultimate victory of God over the forces of evil in the spirit realm are guaranteed.
Amen. So when all these things happen, what are we to do?
Look up.
For redemption draws nigh.
Amen. Thank you for watching. This is Unraveling Revelation.
Unraveling Revelation is a viewer-supported outreach of Gilbert House Ministries. Follow us online at unravelingrevelation.tv and gilberthouse.org.